What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review, and today, talking about probably the biggest release that's come out in the first half of 2025 thus far, easily. And, well, this was a pretty anticipated one, considering we as fans of this band have been clamoring for some change, and for the better. And I am here to talk about the latest offering from Behemoth, The Shit of God. This comes out on May 9th on Nuclear Blast Records, and if my numbers are correct, this is their 13th album overall. And of course, I reviewed the last one, Opus Contra Natrum, and I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty solid. It was definitely a big improvement from their album before that, I Loved You at Your Darkest, which was a big misstep, but it was still an okay album. It's still solid enough to listen to some songs back. But the last one, Opus, was definitely a step in the right direction, but it was still missing something. And here we are with a new album with The Shit of God, despite that being a very cringy title. I'll talk more about cringe when we get towards the end of this review. So, of course, Behemoth, probably the most well-known and legendary blackened death metal band out there, of course. I mean, if you don't know about Behemoth by now, then why the hell are you here? And second of all, I've been a fan of this band for quite a while, pretty much ever since The Satanist came out back in 2014, which is still a monolithic album. No matter what you may say about Behemoth now, you can't deny that album is one of the best modern extreme metal albums ever. But here we are with some new stuff. Now, a couple of interesting wrinkles come into this album, the biggest one being production-wise. Like, the production on Opus was solid, but it felt like they were trying to go for a more old-school sound, and it just didn't quite suit them. Here we get a massive upgrade in production. I think this is a better produced album than the previous two, as it's produced by the legendary Jens Bogren, which I'm like, yes, we finally got a good sounding Behemoth album production-wise for the first time in 11 years. But how do the songs stack up? Well, we kick things off with The Shadow Elite, which was the second single, and I gotta say, this song, prior to listening to this entire album, I was saying to myself, this song is probably the best song Behemoth has written since The Satanist came out. Like, it's got some awesome death metal moments. Of course, you get your blackened atmosphere on top. Like, starts off with some awesome triplet chugs that kind of remind me of Morbid Angel, but with those, like, blackened tremolo tags on top. And then one thing that is definitely clear right off the gate, or right out of the gate, I should say, that you're going to hear a lot on this album are dissonant melodies or atonal melodies, just to kind of add a little bit of an extra evil accent to a lot of the songs on here. And then you get like awesome blast beats and riff changes that alternate from tremolo to chug, like the perfect blend of black metal and death metal that only Behemoth can do. And then you get into the song Sowing Salt, which was the shortest song of the album at a little over 3 minutes. And it's just pure brutality, nasty darkness. It feels very much akin to 2000s era Behemoth. Like, I would say in the vein of albums like Demigod and The Apostasy and Evangelion. Like, that run, it kind of harkened back to that, which was something I think most Behemoth fans have been hoping for. That Behemoth goes back to more of like their 2000s sound rather than chasing the Satanist, which was really the issue with the last two albums. They tried to repeat what they were doing on the Satanist and kind of failing at it. But anyways, and then the song, and then another big thing about this album that you get is drum builds. Like, Inferno is an amazing drummer, and he still puts on a hell of a performance. And I love how the songs like build tension and atmosphere with either like those dissonant melodies, but also the drums kind of adding more atmosphere, or Inferno's just going full tilt on the drums. And then even, like, of course, tremolo harmonies, it even gets a little thrashy on this song. And then that leads me to talking about the lead work. Like, there's only a couple of songs that didn't have a lead, and those were the title track and To Drown the Sun in Wine. Those were the only songs where you didn't get any leads at all, but the lead work on this album is really good. Whether it's Nurgle doing the leads or Seth doing the leads. There's even some lead trade-offs later on a song like Luciferion or Luciferion, however you want to say it. I'll just say Luciferion. But some really cool like trade-offs with the leads. Like it starts with Nurgle and ends with Seth. And then we get back into Luciferion. We get, again, starts off with like dissonant tremolos and the drums building tension. Then you get all of a sudden a really cool like speed metal gallop, but with tremolos and blast to follow. It grooves very well, and groove does come in here quite a bit, but not as much as like going for full-on speed, which I was hoping for more speed, and we got that. The grooves are pretty good on the album, don't get me wrong. And of course, just awesome drum work and the lead trade-offs. To Drown the Sun in Wine starts off with tremolos and furious blast beats, but they don't really come across as black metal tremolo. They kind of sound a little more death metal tremolo before you do start to shift towards black metal tremolos with the melodies, but it still does feel like old Behemoth. Like I would say in particular, Thelema 6, like that, or Satanica, like they're very early blackened death sound. Even Pandemonic Incantations, it kind of gives me some vibes of that. It does get thrashy a bit. There's even some like somber melodies that show up, which I didn't quite expect. And it does get really intense towards the end. And then we get into Nomen Barbarum, and starts off with, again, like tremolo harmonies, but you do get some like awesome death metal chugs. It gets into a double time gallop to kind of add a little more of like, let's just go right into the battlefield. And of course, even the riffs gallop pretty nicely. O Venus Come, which no, I don't. I had a joke for this and I lost it. Oh wait, I think they're referencing the porn star Venus, and if she comes, that's fine by me. There it is. I know that was anticlimactic, but whatever. But anyways, O Venus Come starts off with a dissonant melody, which I always like when their songs start with a dissonant melody at least once, and it builds. Wow. My voice decided to go away for a moment. It builds up tension nicely throughout. It's in triplet rhythms, so you could get triplet chugs, which do show up. But it's a more murky song. And then, of course, the typical tremolo and blasts, harmonized leads, even the acoustic touches that pop up on here are really well done. And then it ends with gallops and chants. But then we get into the closer, Augur the Dread Vulture. I don't know if I said that first word correctly, but it starts off with this like tremolo pattern where it alternates between feeling more like death metal and feeling more like black metal. Of course, Inferno builds the tension nicely behind the kit, but for the most part, it gets into like a big double time stomp. Like it almost feels closer to Demigod than anything else. And of course, you do get your dissonant tags and blast beats. It grooves nicely. And then towards the end, you get like Middle Eastern acoustic guitars and like Middle Eastern influence, which made me think of Nile, which there are times where Nile and Behemoth are pretty comparable at points. And then it ends with a really cool solo. So, yeah, like for the most part, I really liked it. The only gripe I have about this album would be the title track, which was the first single. Musically, it's pretty good. Like, you get some dissonant riffs. It's nice and groovy, nice twangy riffs and tremolo tags, even a tremolo melody with a doomy acoustic part. But the problem was the lyrics. The lyrics on that song were probably some of the cringiest lyrics I've heard in quite some time. If you can somehow get past the lyrics, the song itself is still good. It's even, I'll have to admit, annoyingly catchy, the song itself, but it's the lyrics. It's absolutely cringy, and that's really the only problem I had with this album was the lyrics on that song. Hell, honestly, I think that song should have just been an instrumental, and I think it would have made this album a lot better. But other than that, all the other songs were pretty damn awesome on here. Like, this is definitely a proper return to form for Behemoth. Do I think it's up there amongst their best albums? Maybe. I mean, maybe in the sense of, like, it would be in, like, the same tier of albums like, Zoskia Cultus or Thelema 6 or Satanica, but maybe not as good as those albums, but it's in the mix. It's definitely not better than albums like The Satanist, Demigod, Evangelion, and The Apostasy, but it's definitely far superior than the last two albums, for damn sure. I actually think overall, despite the cringy lyrics on the title track, I thought this was a great album. Was it better than the new Hate album? No. 4 out of 5 for this album, though. It's still great. It's a worthy listen. I think this is easily the best work they've done in over a decade. So if you are a fan of Behemoth, you're probably already going to get this, but if you're a Behemoth fan that's been clamoring for them to kind of touch on their older era but still incorporate a little bit of what they did on The Satanist, this is the perfect album to get you back on board with Behemoth. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you all for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.